Roddy Redshirt here for DemBrothers.com at your favorite Air Force base, circa 1959, on the flight line.
Okay, we got something really cool to show you. Check this out.
It's Monogram Models Air Power Set from 1959, only released one time. 18 scale models, 1 to 240 scale of United States aircraft. Let's take a look at it. Notice the box art. This is an amazing combination of photography and painting. That kid looks real excited to join the Air Force, doesn't he? It's like a recruiting poster in a box. Let's take a look at what's inside the box. We'll take a look at each of these components a little bit more in detail, but for now, the kit has 102 plastic parts. Our collector examples had most of the parts off the sprue, and well, there are a lot of planes here. Plastic base is similar to the Monogram Missiles kit that came a few years after this one. Here's a 24-page book and the instructions. These are the wires that secure the airplanes to the base. There's several different sizes. And the decal sheet. Continuous film. Don't think I'm going to put these in water. I'm sure they'll shatter. Oh, there's even a tube of glue in here. It's a real lead tube. I'm sure the glue's not any good. Before we take a closer look at the kit's contents, let's think about the question, has the last chapter of the Monogram Air Power Kit been written? Will it ever return? As of posting, it is extremely rare and has not been released in its entirety in over 60 years. At the end of this video, we'll explore a plan that might help to bring the kit back. Stay tuned. The instructions are on a large piece of paper that folds in thirds to an 8.5 by 11 inch format to fit inside the 10 by 15 inch box. The front page has an introduction and building tips, and inside you'll find an assembly diagram for each of the 18 planes in the set, including paint recommendations and decal placement. On the back is a diagram matching airplanes with their display wires. We've got scans of the instructions on our website where you can take a closer look if you want. This bag of wires looks like it's never been opened. The wires themselves are very shiny. There's no oxidation that we can see, and they're in really good shape. Again, different sizes for the different size planes. These have actually aged very well. Here's the decals. Continuous film, meaning you need to trim each decal very close to the insignia or stencil before you put it on the model. This logo goes on the base here. You've got your SAC banners. It's a very old sheet, probably would shatter if you put it in water, so what we're going to do is get a high-grade scan of it, and we'll print it on decal paper. We'll include that scan on our website for you. Here's the base. It's a blue piece of styrene plastic. There's some slots for the wires to hold the models up. There was raised lettering for each of them, and it's a little bit different shape than the Monogram Missiles kit, but that same sort of thing. It will make a really nice display for your 18 models.
Hey, Roddy, you got to do a run-up on a KC-135. Wrap it up, will ya?
Okay, Jimmy, I'm almost done.
Yeah, civilians.
This 24-page book was a very nice addition to the Monogram Air Power set. It's a few inches smaller than, say, a Squadron in Action book, but it's printed on high-quality bond paper that's held up pretty well since 1959 in this case. The first few pages of introduction include some aircraft history through the Korean War, and the descriptions of the aircraft in the kit start at the F-84. We'll include some nice images of the introductory information from the book and the kit instructions on the website, DemBrothers.com. And as a special treat, we'll take a close look at each aircraft model in the set, introducing them with their appropriate page from the book. And check out these last pages here. There's a breakdown of what all the numbers mean, the serial numbers, bureau numbers, tail numbers, etc., etc. There's a lot of stuff there that I didn't even know. We'll throw that up on the website as well for you. The F-84F was nearing the end of its active duty with the U.S. Air Force in 1959. Here the model has 3 pieces. You could drill those intakes out, I guess, if you want, but again, very nice. Look at those landing gear doors on this thing. Chevron type tail looks really good. The F-86 is another Korean War era aircraft that was nearing the end of its service life in 1959. This model's just got a couple of parts. You've got your vertical stabilizer. In this case, it's still on the sprue. Little ejector pin mark there. You've got your flaps on the front and the back of the wing, done very nicely. Like some of the kits, there are a couple of ejector pin marks on the top of the fuselage. And you've kind of got a little indentation for the intake there. That's very nice. I suppose you could drill those out if you wanted to. Landing gear doors, very nicely done. There's a slot for your mounting wire. And it looks like an F-86, doesn't it? An F-89J fired a live air-to-air Genie missile with an armed 2-kiloton test warhead at the Nevada test site in 1957. This is an H model here in the Air Power set. The horizontal stabilizer and tip of the vertical are one piece, very similar to the box scale Revell kit actually. This model has a very nicely detailed underside. Check out the landing gear doors there. And the intakes are pretty nicely done. The shapes there are just spot on. Check this baby out. The F-94C was in the twilight of its career when this set came out. They've got all the details here, top and bottom. The F-100 was the first of the Century Series fighters. 5 of them are featured in the air power set. And this is a D model. It has 2 parts, just your separate tail, and the body is one piece, fuselage. Check out those landing gear doors underneath. The F-101 had been in service just a couple of years when the air power set came out. In 1 to 240 scale, the F-101 comes in 3 pieces. You've got your vertical and horizontal stabilizers separately. Convair's F-102A is another Century Series jet. This model has 2 pieces. It's a separate vertical stabilizer. One of the really crazy things that they did here for all you F-102 geeks, they included a K-sex wing. Check that out. The wingtips are upturned. That's, again, a great example of the lengths that they went to get this set right when they first tooled it. It's amazing that it hasn't been re-released. The F-104 was brand new in 1959. The horizontal stabilizer is a separate piece with this model. I've already glued it on. The F-105 was the newest of the Century Series jets to be featured in this set. This one comes in 2 pieces, your vertical stabilizer. This is a B model. Look at those flaps. That's very nice there. Those angled intakes are accurately represented. Underneath you got the landing gear doors and of course the flaps under there too. Over 2,000 B-47s were built during the Cold War. This is the late E model. The inboard engines have separate intakes. The thing I really like that they did here, you can see the little fairing for the outrigger landing gear that's depicted there. Each engine has 2 parts. The outriggers, or the outboard engines, are single pieces. The wing, B-47 had that awesome thin wing, and you've got these wing walk details that are depicted on it. And the bottom looks very nice. Fuselage has some really cool details on it. You've got the radome that's there. Check out that tandem bubble cockpit. That was a really unusual feature for such a big airplane. You got the JTOW installations there. Check that out. That's really cool. Your tandem landing gear doors there and a bomb bay. And of course the tail, it's accurate. The B-52 is the largest plane in the set, and by golly, you're going to need to get a bigger screen to see this thing. It's the E model here. Note how the tandem landing gear doors were executed on this model. They did a really nice job on those too, and you've got your bomb bay. This is a tall tail. You've got the detail for that tail gunner station there. Very nicely done. And up front, you've got the shorter radome that those tall tail B-52s had. And you've got the cockpit windows, again, very nicely done here. The wing is definitely portrays a B-52. Got your wing spoilers on the top and your flaps down below. Maybe those landing gear doors are a little bit wonky, but it's really not much to complain about here. This set, again, the general accuracy of these shapes is pretty spot on. We can forgive a couple little indiscretions like that. Now these engines are 2 pieces. I've already glued the intakes on, and again, you're looking at a kind of an E there. Look at these tip tanks that you have here, wing tip tanks, the big ones, and the B-52 is going to it'll be the most prominent model on the set. The B-57 was unique in that it was a British design. This is a B model. This model comes with separate wingtip tanks. I've glued them on here. Check out the landing gear doors and the bomb bay doors underneath. That slot in the middle, of course, is where the wire goes that supports the aircraft on the base. The B-58 was the newest aircraft in the set, not having entered service when the air power set was released. This explains why the aircraft on the box appears in Convair demonstrator colors. But boy, even with it being in such early condition, they still got all the details right here. We put the belly tank on already. This one had fuel and the nuclear ordnance. Check out the weapons station and the cockpit windows. Nicely done in here. You've got your landing gear fairings represented on the top and bottom of the fuselage with your landing gear doors there. And again, the 4 engines. You've got your inboard engines have the longer pylon. Your outboard engines have the shorter one. The B-66B is another aircraft that goes together similar to Monogram's own box scale version. Here you can see that they captured that undernose radome very well. There you've got your cockpit windows, and look at the landing gear doors there. That's really nice. Everything on this model and the others is very nicely done. You've got your wing that they did here, very nice, and separate engines, or 1 piece each, and of course your tail. The C130 had been in service with the Air Force a couple of years or so in 1959, and it's the other prop plane in the set. The turboprop exhausts were very nicely done here. Check that out. You know, the wing, actually, of all the models, this one might have had the worst sinkholes. You can kind of see right behind the engines there, but they're really not too bad considering. And they're probably the worst sinkholes I found on the entire kit. So the basic engineering of the molding really wasn't too bad. You do have a couple of ejector pin marks down there on the underside, but really nothing too bad to deal with here if you decide to build one of these. Well, I tell you, the fuselage here, really nicely done here. On this side, you've got your fore and aft exits, and on the other side here, you've got your forward cargo door. And boy, check out those windows. Did such a nice job with these. Pretty amazing. You know, those recessed panel lines remind me a lot of an old Comet kit or a Hawk kit or something like that. It's pretty interesting that they went that direction, whereas most of the Monogram kits that came after are well known for their raised panel lines. KC135, it's almost too big for your screen. They've got some pretty nice details on this kit. The Boeing nose is correctly captured. That's a tough one to get right on these kits. Check out your windows there, eyebrow windows and everything. You've got your port side cargo door. It's a shorter vertical stabilizer, a little older model. Check out that boomer station there. They got the proportions on that done pretty well. And your wing has the wing spoilers in the top. The flaps look good, top and bottom. And landing gear doors, and they've even got the little intakes at the wing roots there. Very nicely depicted. And there's a separate refueling boom here. And J57 engines, by golly, they look like just like J57 engines. You've got that little auxiliary intake at the base there. And the shape on these things looks spot on to me. And vertical stabilizer as well. Awesome. The SA16BAlbatros is the only piston-powered aircraft represented in this set. It's depicted in flight, so there are no propeller blades. Fuselage is in two halves. Check out the detail there. Look at that wheel. Very nicely done. You've got your cabin windows. You've got your cockpit windows. You've got your little radome. Captured very well in this particular model. Wing, the shape is right, and notice that there's just the spinners depicted. You don't have any propeller blades since it's depicted in flight. We've got two of the floats. One of them's on the sprue still, and the horizontal stabilizer that's separate. This T33 is one piece. The smaller aircraft are molded with a seam around the edge of the wing and down the sides of the fuselage. Each plane has recessed panel lines, and the shapes look quite accurate from what we can see. Some of them will have ejection pin marks on the top. The part of the mold with the most area has to have the ejection pin marks, and that's where they're going to land on some of the models. They're small and easy to fill. As you can see, the detail is not too bad on these things, with canopies pretty well done. Now for a moment, let's talk about the possibility of the Monogram Air Power Set returning to your hobby shop. Let us know in the comments for this video if you'd like to see a re-release of the kit. It's that simple. We're not representing a model company here with this initiative. We're speaking as modelers who are fans of the original kit. If the molds are out there somewhere and they're usable, we hope whoever has them will see the results of our informal poll to determine whether or not there's enough interest to justify a re-release. The number of comments should demonstrate the level of enthusiasm for this kit. We'll let you know how this plays out on our website, Albatros.com. Ready? Okay, stop.